What does a polar bear want from a ship? The bear appeared off the port bow at 11:43 in the morning, a large female, swimming in a straight line toward the hull. Not circling. Not approaching obliquely the way bears did when curiosity brought them close to vessels in Lancaster Sound. A direct heading, sustained, closing fast. Daniel called for all stops and went to the rail. The MV Arctic Passage was a supply vessel running the Resolute to Arctic Bay corridor. 8 crew and cargo for 3 communities. Daniel had been contracted by Fisheries and Oceans Canada to run wildlife observations along the route, standard practice for vessels transiting sensitive habitat in the Canadian high Arctic. He had been on the forward deck since 8 that morning, running the standard count, logging each sighting by species. Is sex, estimated age, behavior, GPS coordinates. Lancaster Sound in late August was open water where it had been ice-covered in July, and the wildlife distribution had shifted accordingly. Fewer bears on the surface. Most pushed further north toward the remaining pack ice. She came up at 11:43, and he had his binoculars on her within 30 seconds. Large female. Good condition, coat clean. Body weight appropriate. No visible injury. Swimming hard. Head elevated, not slowing as she closed the distance. He reached for the radio. Bridge. This is Hayes. Bear on the port side. Direct approach. Closing fast. Recommend all stop. Brennan killed the engines. She reached the hull and placed both forepaws against the steel. She was looking up at the deck. Not threat behavior. Not distress calls. Something lower and more repetitive than either. A sound that did not match any of the categories in the behavioral literature Daniel had on the ship. He logged the time and the description and kept watching. Within 10 minutes, it was clear she was not going to leave. Captain Brennan came down from the bridge with the logical assumption hunger. An adult female in late summer. The fasting season extending as the ice retreated earlier each year, it fit most of the observable data. He had the cook bring up a large Arctic char and lowered it on a line to the waterline. She sniffed it, lifted it once with one paw, turned it over, let it go. It sank. She was not hungry. A polar bear in late summer refusing food was not a behavioral gray area. It meant that whatever she wanted from the ship, it was not what ships typically offered. Daniel looked northwest, the direction she had swum from, the direction she kept swimming toward before returning to the hull. The ice edge was visible in the middle distance. August's work of fragmentation scattered across the water where the pack ice had been 3 weeks ago. He went below to call Dr. Dine. Claire Rutherford. Rutherford was aboard the CCGS Investigator 12 nautical miles east, running the annual late summer marine mammal survey of Lancaster Sound. Daniel had worked with her twice before. He described the behavioral sequence in the precise language of field documentation, the direct approach, the hull contact, the vocalizations, the northwest pattern, the fish refusal, and told her what he was looking at to the northwest. She asked one question: how small were the flows? He thought about the size distribution he'd been logging since morning. Some of them are too small. He said so. She told him she was getting underway and not to follow the bear yet. She wanted eyes on it. For the next 90 minutes, the bear cycled northwest. Return. Hull contact. Vocalizations. Northwest again. 7 times by Daniel's count. The crew had gathered at the port rail, keeping back at his instruction, watching without crowding. He was aware, by the 3rd cycle, that he had a hypothesis. He had been building toward it since the fish sank a bear, doing something that bears were not documented doing, indicating a direction she had come from and kept returning to. He wrote it in his notebook with the notation unconfirmed await Rutherford and kept watching. He wrote down what he saw. He did not write down what it felt like. The investigator arrived at 14:22. Rutherford watched the bear complete one full cycle before she said anything. 4 minutes of silence. Binoculars up. The bear pressing against the hull of the Arctic Passage for the 7th time and looking northwest. "She's showing us a direction," Rutherford said. "Follow her." Brennan turned the ship northwest. The investigator fell in behind, the bear, when she felt the engine vibration through the hull, pulled away from the ship's side and swam ahead direct line. Purposeful. The same heading she had been trying to communicate for 2 hours. She was leading. The ice field thickened as they moved northwest. Floes are more numerous. Smaller pieces of what had been continuous pack ice 3 weeks ago, broken apart by August water temperatures and drifting in the current. The ship slowed to 4 knots. Then 2. Navigation in this density required full attention on both bridges. The radio traffic between the 2 vessels reduced to the minimum of course corrections and hazard calls. Daniel stayed at the forward rail and watched her. She maintained a consistent distance ahead of the bow, close enough to follow, far enough that the ship's wakes did not reach her, and she did not vary her heading. 40 minutes of swimming in a straight line through open water and broken ice, without looking back, without hesitation at any of the junctions where the flow field required a choice of route. She knew where she was going. The bear swam ahead and did not look back. At 15:11, the lookout on the investigator reported movement on ice at 11 o'clock, approximately 400 meters. Rutherford put her binoculars on it and passed them to Daniel without speaking. 2 small shapes on a floe, perhaps 4 meters across. The edges were at the waterline. The cubs were 3 months old, approximately mobile but not capable of sustained swimming, old enough to understand what it meant to be separated from their mother, and young enough to have been separated for longer than was safe. They had been on larger ice. The ice had broken. The female reached them before the ships did. She hauled out of the water, and the cubs went to her immediately. She checked each one and turned nose to flank, nose to face. The inventory that confirmed what she had spent 2 hours and 12 nautical miles trying to ensure. They were intact. She looked back at the ships, held the look for a moment, the 2 hulls sitting in the broken ice field. Engine stopped. The humans at the rails watching. Then she looked back at her cubs. Whatever calculation she had run to get here, it had returned the result she needed. The problem was not reaching the cubs. It was reaching them without swamping the flow. Any vessel moving close to a 4-meter ice platform sitting at the waterline created a displacement wave that would flip it. Rutherford's team had run variants of this operation before, not this exact configuration, but close enough. The solution was the investigator's rigid inflatable, launched from the Coast Guard vessel's stern and maneuvered by 2 crew members from the downwind side at a distance that minimized wake. It took 11 minutes to get the inflatable in the water and positioned. The first approach was aborted when a shift in the current moved the failing flow 3 meters and changed the angle. The second approach held. 2 crew members in dry suits entered the water from the inflatable and worked the cubs carefully, efficiently. The process, not painless from the cubs' perspective, but without injury from the sinking platform to a stable ice shelf 40 meters to the east. The mother watched from her flow throughout. She did not interfere, and she did not retreat. She stood at the far edge and answered the cubs' sounds, the low, continuous vocalization that kept them oriented to her voice while the operation continued around them. Each time a cub called out, she responded. Each time she responded, the cub turned toward her. When the last cub reached stable ice, she crossed the water between the floes in 15 seconds. The inventory again. Both cubs. Sounds changed register. Rutherford, standing beside Daniel at the rail of the inflatable, was quiet for a moment. "Log it," she said. "Already logging," Daniel said. They held position for 2 hours while the family moved northeast toward the solid pack ice that remained at this latitude. Deliberate pace, not rushed, not exhausted. The measured movement of an animal with a destination and the reserves to reach it. The cubs stayed close, one on each side of her, occasionally falling behind and catching up in the slightly uncoordinated way of young animals still developing their stamina. Brennan brought coffee up to the forward deck at some point. Daniel did not remember drinking it. He kept his binoculars on the family and logged their position every 15 minutes, the standard interval for tracking a moving animal. The same interval he had been using since 8 that morning for animals that had done nothing more remarkable than exist in the place they were supposed to be. By 1820, they were beyond visual range. Brennan restarted the engines. Daniel closed his field notebook and looked at the last entry time, coordinates, direction of final travel, condition of both cubs. He did not write down what the bear had done or what it meant that she had done it. That was a different kind of documentation, and he was not sure yet what category it belonged in. The Arctic Passage turned back to its heading. The sound was quiet in the way it was quiet in late August, light still full. Water flat. The ice edge marking the boundary between the summer ending and the winter coming. The way it had marked that boundary every year before, except that each year the boundary was a little further north than the year before. He noted that too. Lancaster Sound is part of the Northwest Passage, a corridor that was effectively impassable by commercial vessels for most of recorded history and now opens reliably for weeks each summer. The same warming that opens shipping lanes removes the sea ice that polar bears depend on for hunting, denning, and movement between populations. According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, the Arctic is losing approximately 77,000 square kilometers of sea ice every September, an area the size of South Dakota, gone annually. Compounding, the ice-free season in Lancaster Sound and the broader Baffin Bay region has extended by more than 3 weeks over the past 3 decades. What was solid pack ice in August is now open water. What was a stable ice platform is now the kind of fragmented, shifting flow field that left 2 cubs on 4 meters of sinking ice. This is not background. It is the physical condition that produced every decision in this story, the mother's 12 nautical mile swim, the cubs on ice too small to hold them, the supply vessel running a route that August could not have supported 20 years ago. The research that Dr. Rutherford's team conducts each summer on the Investigator is part of the data set that tells us what is actually happening to the animals navigating these changing conditions. Polar Bears International funds this field work and the climate advocacy that addresses what is driving it. The link is in the description below. If this video meant something to you, please like and subscribe. It helps these stories reach people who haven't heard them yet.